go ahead and get started. Hiromi, thank you for just joining us today. And what we do on the Mindset Monday is we talk about just the shifts that we go through in life that kind of change things. And I've always had such a positive experience when I talk to people that have had a connection to martial arts, people that have connection to social media. And here you've done many of those things. One of my friends is Ken Caputo, and he brings a wisdom forward that just astonishes me. It's this awareness and this awakenedness. So I'm really looking forward to this discussion. So thank you for saying yes to this, and I'd like to just you know have you take a chance to say hello and to say a little bit about yourself.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm so honored that you asked me to be here, and I'm so excited to meet your community. Just want to give a shout out to Angelica. She is incredible, and I'm excited about her book as well. And thank you everybody who's here. My name is Hiromi Okuyama. I'm an actress. I'm actually with the union up here in Canada. I'm originally from Toronto, and I live right now outside of Toronto. And I was born into a martial arts family on both sides of my family, my maternal and my paternal side. And my father is one of this is not my words, one of the highest ranking masters in Canada for Shotokan karate. And I've learned so much from him and especially from his students. And we can talk more about that. I'm also a content creator. One of my main platforms for short form video is TikTok, but I've extended more to other platforms. And I'm also a social audio host. I was one of the Clubhouse icons. So if you downloaded the Clubhouse app between December 2022 to February 2023, you would see my face on your phone screen. So that was pretty exciting as well. I just love hosting rooms and being part of rooms on social audio, both on Clubhouse, LinkedIn, and other platforms. So, yes, that's a little bit about myself. And yeah, I'm so excited about this.
I love it because you bring such a positive energy, and it's like that's how we draw people in. They feel better when they're around, and I already feel better just hearing your introduction. It's this journey that we go through, the awakening process, right? It's this we grow in emotional intelligence, we grow in self-awareness, and not everyone starts off with the that same path, with having the same parents or the same structure. And that's what I wanted to ask you about is, what did you discover as far as self-awareness, through the martial arts, and the Shotokan karate, and just how does that impacted, your journey, your journey and your personal growth?
My father actually talks a lot about awareness, and that's so important as a martial artist, which is why I loved when you sent me some of the questions ahead of time. I was like, oh my goodness, I can't wait to talk about this. So, a lot of martial arts schools, the stereotypical martial arts schools, whether it's any type of discipline, they always focus on, like, sorry if these words might sound a little bit traumatic, but they always focus on like beating someone up. It's like this tough, like machismo, like I can beat up anybody, right? But essentially martial arts is not that. Martial arts is an art, and there's so many different types of martial artists that have similar values, and it's all about awareness and love and understanding your opponent, and just and that comes with awareness and mindset as well. And so my father always talks about we're always being prepared to defend our life, but we don't go out and try to enforce anything. So I liked how he talks about awareness all the time. And when you're aware, you avoid conflict. And that's one of another reason why that we practice martial arts, is to know when to avoid a conflict. People think, oh, you're a martial artist, you can stand up to anybody. That's not true. You know when to move away. And my father talks about the Japanese philosophy of ma, which is distance. And that distance creates, do you go a short distance or do you go a long distance? And know when to walk away. And that's really a key component of martial arts. And for many who read like The Art of War, that's a key component of that as well.
I love that, and that's that's something that I've noticed, even in nature that the one the most secure beings, the ones that are most at peace with themselves internally, they don't have that need to fight. And what's more interesting is many times when when someone's coming to challenge them, there's nothing more than a look or an expression of that energy that will shift that you know that person coming at them. In my case, I was looking at chickens. The chickens will establish dominance and they'll butt chests. And that every once in a while, I was sitting out here and I was watching one little tiny chick, and she was never involved in any of this dominance battle. And one chick came after her one time, and what they do is they stretch their necks really tall and they stick their chest out. And she did that. And the other one just dropped, it was running a pretty good distance, maybe about, 2 meters or about, 6 or 7 feet. And halfway through, after the other chick raised its head up, the other one just dropped it to the ground and pretended like it wasn't even coming after that one. And that one ended up being, one of the top row chickens. And they do establish, that you hear about the pecking order and a top roost. Well, that's real. And the top chicken, what I found interesting is they would always make space for anyone else, and they were very, very rarely would they fight. But the ones in the middle or the ones in the bottom, they would tend to be in the squabbles. So thank you for that. So when has there been anything interesting, like an experience that you've had that's with martial arts that's shaped your mindset either towards challenges or maybe even towards resilience?
Actually, I would like to first chime in on your analogy about the chickens because interestingly enough, and my father talks about it in his philosophies. He's on Instagram and I try to film his stories because people love his stories because he's 80 years old. So he grew up on an island right outside of Tokyo called Hachijojima, and he has this whole story about the island and the history of it and why it's a little bit different from the rest of Japan because it is a smaller island. And his family was farmers, so they're very in tune with nature. And my father often talks about how martial arts is similar to nature, so it goes perfectly with your analogy. I love it so much. And so now, answering your next question, oh, there's so many times where I was caught up in a situation and where my resilience uh, had to be used or prevail. I remember there was just being aware. So there was a one time, so being a woman, and I'm 5'2", I'm very small. And I do have a lot of, unwanted attention sometimes. I'm sure a lot of women in the audience have had that as well. And which is why I'm very passionate about women taking martial arts. Not to be like, oh, I can beat everybody up. It's the awareness that you mentioned that's really important. So one time I was in the elevator and there was this creepy guy. We always sometimes a lot of women didn't know about those guys, and I can feel that he was following me. And this was when I was living in an apartment in Toronto, and I kind of felt that, so I stepped to the back of the elevator, right, so that he's in my eye line, and now he's in front of me. And then I waited for him to get off first, and then when he got off, I just pressed another button, and then I went back downstairs, and then I immediately went to tell one of the superintendents, and then so they kept an eye on him. And I don't know how he got into the apartment, but that was a scary incident. But I kept my calm. I knew that he was following me. I stepped back. I kept him in my eye line. And even though, like, I didn't want to say, oh, I can beat you up. Of course, I'm not going to do that. Right. But it's that awareness of being in a small enclosed space and knowing, but I was ready to defend myself if he was going to attack me. But I just had that awareness and I deflected from being confrontational with him. And then also I saved other women from him because now the superintendent knows who he is and he won't let him into the apartment building anymore. And then I started seeing him in other apartment buildings and just telling people about this person. So that's what I think that's an example of the awareness and knowing when to, fight or flight, right? And then I have another example about physical strength because you do develop physical strength and mental strength in martial arts. So I was in a crowded TTC subway. If you know Toronto, sometimes they get really crowded in the subway. It was super crowded. And because, you learn a lot about balance and agility and physical movement, I was just standing there. I didn't have anything to hold on to because it's so crowded. All of a sudden, the train like kind of like jerked, and then it was almost like a domino effect. One guy fell a little bit, then another guy fell, and another, and it was coming towards me, these dominoes. And there was a woman right in front of me, and she was about to fall, and then she was going to fall into the people sitting down, and that might have injured someone. So automatically my hand shot right out, and then because I guess of my strength, I was able to like she fell into my arms kind of, and she just kind of fell into my arms. Then the train went back, and then she was able to stand back up, and she was so thankful. She kept saying thank you, thank you, thank you, because if she fell into, she could have got injured, and she could have injured someone else. So that was a physical thing, and I didn't even think, oh, this will just immediately subconsciously my mind went to that, and that's where regular training, consistent training helps. So that's one of my other fun stories.
I love that. And when you were telling the elevator story, the thing that came to mind is a couple things. One, you had the awareness to to defend the space that you couldn't see, right? With your back against the wall, you don't have to defend that space, right? So everything in front of you is defensible. And I love that because it puts you in a place of more empowerment. And the second thing that I really think is key is it's paying attention to how you feel. It doesn't mean that you're right or wrong, right? It doesn't matter whether you're wrong. It's noticing how you feel, and then from a place of empowerment and a place of action of saying, okay, I'm going to protect my space. I don't feel comfortable in this moment, and you took action. So I think that that's really important. How many times do people get that feeling and walk, alone down an alley, and it causes, something bad happens. So I'm really glad that you did that. And it also, it takes away that opportunity for someone else. So it's about being wise, and I really appreciate that because, when women are, take advantage of, or children, it's when somebody takes advantage of them based off of size, and it's never about, it's always about control. So it's somebody weaker is trying to establish dominance because they don't feel strong. And so, it's a scary thing. And so I'm glad that you did that. And the second thing is, you know, I just have this whole vision. When you tell a story, I'm picturing all the people falling in the train, and just kind of the smile on this woman's face of, somebody catching her. And it's like, because she's probably seeing it coming, and everything happens in slow motion when something like that happens. So it's always nice to have a friendly face push you back up. So thanks for that. You mentioned acting, and that's kind of interesting. I don't know if all of us are enamored by actresses, and I was just speaking to one of my clients this weekend, and she's an actress, and she was on a set with a very famous actor. I can't tell you who because she's in that confidentiality phase where they don't talk about it. But how do when you're acting, you're playing a role, right? And this is something that I find interesting is we always have the role of who we are and the identity of who we are. So that's what I would ask you. How does this, acting and your empowerment with your karate and the different things that you do, and hosting, and your parenting, right? You're a parent as well. How does the intersection of all that affect your personal identity?
Oh, that's a great question. It is hard to balance everything. And I love watching amazing actors because I know how hard it is to get to that point of where they have to express this kind of emotion. So being an actor, it you kind of have to kind of embody the character. And so one technique I do when I get a role is just like in my regular life, I journal, I scrapbook, I meditate. And when I embody a role, I also actually have a whole scrapbook and journal about them, and I pretend and I write down my daily thoughts as that character, so that character becomes me. And then when I do the role, then it's like my second nature. So that's how I, but then because I have that journal, I can also remove myself and separate myself from that character as well. So I can be Hiromi or I can be that role. So that's how I do it to balance. Some people go full out method, which is incredible. But I heard sometimes it can also take a toll on your mental health, especially if it's a really intense role that takes a lot of deepness. But I do have to say, I am more. Most of my bulk of my work, that's why you don't see my IMDb so big, is I'm actually a commercial actress. I think I just have that kind of personality and vibe that really goes with commercial work, which is why I translated to TikTok and short form videos so well, because short form videos is essentially commercials. And so even with roles I do in commercials, I still do that kind of smaller scale, like journaling as well, because I'm representing a brand and I want to be the best that I can in the character to represent the brand. So most of my work has been commercial work. So I do hope to one day have like a very amazing kind of role in a series or something where I can just explore so much. But yeah, that's my acting journey in a nutshell.
Oh, that's wonderful. And now I'm curious. So for all of us, people that are making our weekend videos for social media or doing these other things, is there are there any hints or tricks that you can give us that as far as the just the organization and the flow of what we're presenting, the little short story? Anything you can share there?
Yes. So storytelling is so huge on social media right now, and especially on TikTok and Reels. It's phenomenal, and everybody has a story, and everybody can do short form video. And what I like to say is, because I'm a commercial actress, think of each short form video in like how you can tell it in a 15-second spot, how you can tell it in a 30-second spot, and how you can tell it in 1 minute. But start small first. It's like, when you're a musician, when you're starting off learning music, you learn the foundations, the scales. That's you do the scales first, and then you go into those big, huge musical numbers, right? And just like karate too, you're a white belt first. You learn the basics first. You can't just go straight into like, all those fighting weapons techniques. You have to know the basics and then you move on. Unless you're a huge filmmaker, I would start off small. Do small spurts of short form video content. Tell a story like, the beginning, middle, and end. Have it in 15 seconds. You don't have to even you can even just take one point of your business or one point that you're passionate about. You don't have to elaborate it. Just do one point, start small, and then build to 30 seconds and then build to 1 minute. And now TikTok and Reels are pushing longer form. So then build it to longer form. But that's how it's just start small and then build from there.
I love that. Thank you for that. My last post was kind of a story like that because I went to the mountains this weekend, and so it was raining and then we had 40 mile an hour per mile per hour winds. It was quite a substantial thing. And then on Sunday, while it was raining and while the building was creaking, we were up in a cabin house that was quite high up, and the building was creaking and we were inside playing games and laughing, having a glass of wine, and it was just a beautiful experience. And it's nice to have that with your friends. And so, I love that experience. And then on Sunday it was a beautiful sunny day, and it's almost like an analogy or a metaphor for life. We go through some times, and going through difficult times with friends is always better. And then we're always guaranteed that a new day will come in the future. So I love that. And I see that Sean has his hand up. We'll pull you up here in just a little while. And I wanted to welcome some of the other folks that are here. Jonathan is here. He's one of my coaching friends. Tina's here. Lady Drew is here. Michael is here. Grace is here. Christy came. Maureen. Ken Caputo. Ken is the gentleman that I spoke of earlier that I respect highly, that talks about martial arts. And any of the others that raise your hand or do the clapping emoji if you're also doing martial arts as well. And then also, Buck is here, Sean is here, and yeah, Pete is here, Martha, Gary, Will, Brian, and Kim. And I can't see the full name for MD. I think it's MD Abdur, but welcome, friends, and glad that you are here. So, with in speaking to Ken, he talked about the different mindsets that we have with the martial arts. And he talked about the tiger mindset and the crane mindset and how that can be used to influence the way that people interact and getting a better understanding. And so I just wanted to ask you, in the meantime, well, before we go to the next question, is there anything like that in the form of martial arts that you studied, you know, the mindset that's related to animal or different functions like that?
Yes, I'm connected with Ken right now. I can't wait to talk to him more. So my father's Japanese because of my name, Hiromi Okuyama, but my mother is actually Chinese. And so I learned Chinese martial arts and Japanese martial arts because my grandfather taught me Tai Chi. And then I was honored to be his last student. He passed away when he was 97 years old. So I was his last Tai Chi student. And of course, my father, he's 80 years old right now, and he's still teaching martial arts. And we have something called katas. They're like patterns, and each kata has similar animal movements. They don't name it as much as the Chinese martial arts do. They have, I know, the crane, the tiger, the horse. They have all those beautiful animal directly related forms, but karate does come from Chinese martial arts. So you do see those elements, and there's a whole bunch. Like, there's one called gankaku, which is about a crane on a rock, and it's so fascinating to hear my dad talk about that that kata. And yeah, there's so many movements that I can think of that is so related to animals, and the offense and the defense and the awareness and just the movement is, yeah, it's beautiful, and you can relate that to your everyday life as well. So yes, I love that. Thank you for that question.
Oh, thank you for answering that. As you were speaking, I just, I could see the animals and what a beautiful connection. It's the energy and that connection. And we're gonna pull some people up here in a second, but I wanted to ask, one question as far as, the double-edged sword of social media, because, it's with mental wellness, this has become kind of a tricky area. It allows us to connect with so many people, but it also offers this place of anonymity where people can say some hurtful things, or some things can be exchanged without consequence in some cases. So I just wanted to ask you a little bit about, what would you offer as far as maintaining well-being, when you're engaging with a broad audiences like TikTok or Clubhouse. And the reason I ask the question is because, I tell some of my friends that when you finally get a troll, you've kind of made it, because it's like they're not going to target people that aren't are inconsequential, they will target people that are making a big difference or have a big following. And so what are your thoughts on that? Just maintaining your well-being and mental health while engaging in social media.
One of my I love this question too. One of my role models that I look up to, her name is Dr. Patrice Berry. We used to be in clubhouse rooms together. That's where I got to know her, and she has a presence here on LinkedIn, and she teaches about mental health on socials, on TikTok and Instagram. And she always said this quote, and it always stuck with me: do as much content as your mental health allows. And we do, and I do teach this too. It's very good to be consistent. Try to post every day on TikTok, because that's where you get your consistency. But if you feel your mental health is being affected, it's okay to skip a day. It's okay not to answer all the questions right away or the comments. And it's interesting you talked about trolls. So my content is very sweet, family friendly. If you watch my TikTok or my reels, you can get what I do. I don't get as many trolls, knock on wood. I'm thankful. And I don't do controversial topics. However, my father's content, his content is not controversial in the way we present it. It's more people disagreeing with him. And he has the worst trolls. Some of them just go at him like with his they call him like, sorry, I don't want to be too traumatic with these words. These are their words, like old man. They criticize his looks and they criticize his technique. And I'm like, okay, he's been teaching for 50 years. He's trained for 80 years. I don't know. People just like to talk. So what I do is before I tackle, pardon the pun, his comment section, I always have to like meditate. And it's almost like being a martial artist, like, ready for the sparring match and knowing when to deflect and when to counter. And sometimes, so I won't call them trolls, but some of the critical voices of him, I've actually become friends with him because we'll have a healthy dialogue of their aspect and my aspect, my father's aspect. And it becomes really beautiful when you can turn someone who's critical into your friend, because that's the essence of friendships. We don't always agree on something, but we can be friends. Now, the trolls who are really mean and who keep coming back, I just block them. I don't block easily. I'm not one to block easily, but if they keep coming at us and coming at us with no valid point to them, or if they say anything, rude or anything about my father's image, I'll give them two more chances and then they're out. So that's how I deal with trolls on that. But I do meditate and I am mindful, and I realize that many of them come from a place of hurt. So I try to see if there's something that I can establish a relationship with them first. And if they're just being there to be cruel, then yes, they're blocked.
I think that's a nice way to do it because, you don't want to block too quickly because it is kind of it's a rejection of somebody, and sometimes that can hurt somebody if their dialogue is well intended but maybe just misaligned, and so thanks for giving the extra tries. That's extra energy on your part, and it's very kind of you. I wanted to see if Sean could re-raise his hand and have him come up. And in the meantime, while I'm bringing people up, I wanted to ask you about your experience becoming a LinkedIn instructor. What a lovely honor. And I see on your logo, you've got the LinkedIn Learning Center banner behind you. What was that experience like for you? I mean, what came out of that whole journey?
Oh my goodness, thank you so much. I it was my course is coming out in May, so just like keeping my fingers crossed that everything goes well. It was one of I know we can't talk about too much, but it was one of the most amazing experiences. I love the platform. LinkedIn was actually, to be honest with you, the last platform I thought I would be on, just because I had that stigma in my mind that it was just professionals. It was just like, all business. And I didn't think they'd want a quirky person like me on this platform. And then when you come on LinkedIn, you're like, wow, it's so diverse in like so many ways. And being actually on their campus in Carpinteria, it's not their main headquarters. They have an actual campus near Santa Barbara. Oh, I was just there for a couple days, but just the way they operate, the workplace culture, the way they treat their employees. I'm like, oh my goodness, it's so fantastic. And I'm such a LinkedIn fan. And I'm just excited about my course. So I'll leave it there.
Right. Well, I love it. My friend Joshua Lee, he's always talking about wanting to get an invite to the LinkedIn headquarters, and and what a wonderful time it would be to bring donuts and have donuts and coffee at the LinkedIn headquarters. And so I sent him a picture of the headquarters and photoshopped his image on the front of it, and he loved it. So I don't see him in the audience, but hopefully he'll be back. So, but what a wonderful experience. Thank you for sharing that. And I look forward to your course. What is your course in? Is it in social media?
Social audio.
Oh, that's amazing.
So
Amazing.
excited.
Amazing.
Yes.
Well, we would love some tips and tricks, but I think you kind of actually gave the secret, which is consistency. Consistency to growing your crowd and to increasing your following, because this is what I found, and maybe you could comment on it. Talk about what it is that you love, independent of the number of audience. Um, the reason that you should talk about what it is that you talk about is because it should be important to you, and do it for no other reason than because you want to. And if you do that consistently, I do think that you'll attract an audience.
100% agree. 100%.
So we have a few people that joined us up on stage, um, and hopefully I've got everybody in the right order. So I think we lost one. So hopefully that person will come back. So it was either you or Lady Drew came up first. Ali, why don't you start and then we'll go to Lady Drew.
Thank you so much for this space, Stephen, and arigato gozaimasu, Hiromi. I don't speak Japanese, but I love languages. So what you speak is also my language. It's also to be self-aware of our body and our or the body of others, and to be always in the present moment. I enjoyed really the subway part. Um, and what I imagine also is that I think the basics sound simple, but I think it's not really basic. I think it's really the root, I would say, to reframe the word, because it's like Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee always said, just one shot 1,000 times is even better than 1,000 shots one time, because one or two or three techniques could be used, I think, 95% of the time. So I feel like simplicity and being aware of our body and of our environment and our posture or attitude. That's why I also commend you for your behavior on when you thought about the lift. It's important to have the right energy. Like the it's not the and also the chicken anecdote is you it's like Yoda. You don't judge by appearance. You judge by the right vibration, the energy, and also the calmness and the peacefulness. So I don't have any questions. Just like to vibrate with you and to shine my light. Thank you.
Would you like to comment, Hiromi?
Yes, actually, Ellie, I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Uh, so first of all, I love that you teach French because I'm from Canada. And my daughter actually is going to a school in Montreal. So I learned French up to, we had grade 13 up here in Canada before. And I learned up to that. And then I lost it. So I need to connect and relearn my French. But second, I love what you talked about posture and knowing our body and our body awareness, because that's super important as well, also for our health. And one thing that you reminded me of is how I teach my students. Because I'm a small woman, I need to have a little bit more control of my class than, say, a huge guy who can just get all the kids to laugh. And when he says stop, they'll all stop. No, 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 no. For me, I need to have a little bit more kind of uh, control in my class. And but I'm still a fun teacher. And one thing that I am very strict is how they line up. And I always say, get your toes to the line. We're not moving until we get to the toes to the line. So we're there in a straight line. I teach them how to bow properly. And when we meditate, I always say, um, chest up like your favorite superhero, because kids like superheroes. Glue your hands to your thighs and top ahead to the ceiling so that their body and posture is straight. So they're ready for meditation. But not only is it because they have to have a good posture, when you have that posture, when you're in meditation, your senses get heightened and you become more powerful that way in every sense. So I just love that you talked about body posture, and even being in our everyday lives, people who are like glued to their phone while they're walking through the street, they can get their phone taken away or they can get attacked. So just having good posture. I always teach about walking. My dad teaches the importance of walking and how that helps even people be away from you, because bullies usually, or people who are aggressive usually, attack someone who looks weak and unaware. So thank you for that.
It's so true because and we can kind of sense that as well. I mean, just like you mentioned early on with that feeling in the elevator, if you give a sense of fear, or if someone picks up on that vulnerability, then sometimes people will act on that. And so if you're in a place of power, and a lot of times you mentioned your height, 5'2". A lot of times the little ones, it's not about your size. It's about how much energy that you're going to expel. And I've noticed this in my own life. I can remember a time when my brother was chasing me, and one time I was just tired, and I'd been swimming. I was on the swim team, and so my physique was building, but this time I was just too tired. And we grew up on the farm, so we weren't little boys. And he was on the football team, and he chased me out the front door, and the game was he would chase me, and I was more agile than him, and so I could move right or left, and he would keep going. But this game went on for about 15 minutes. If he caught me, he would pin me down, he would tickle me, or he would, and one day I decided, you know what? I'm too tired to run today, and I know that I'm going to get pummeled, but I'm going to land as many strikes as I can back. And I just squared up against him, and as he was coming towards me, that standing tall and preparing myself, I just took a deep breath and calm, and and he just turned around and walked back in the house, and he never chased me again. And you probably hear my little kitty in the background. She's 7 pounds. But I tell you, she runs this neighborhood. I mean, the neighbor's dog is a 40-pound Labrador, and the Labrador chased her one time, and she did not run from the Labrador. She faced the Labrador and left a claw in its nose. And the neighbors say what a devilish cat I have. But I'm thinking, your 40-pound dog attacked my 7-pound cat. What's going on here?
We always talk about different sizes. Of course, someone who's much larger and bigger have the advantage of strength, but people who are smaller, that's why you can learn how to deflect and smart, like we call it smart fighting or smart defensive. So yeah, there's ways that we do in karate where we can deflect against a smaller opponent. And my father is pretty small too, and he's he's been against like people who were in the LAPD. He was in he travels all around the world, and he's with with these huge European guys, but he knows how to stand his ground. So exactly what you said, exactly.
I love that. Thank you for that.
Like Aikido. I think it's Aikido. It's using the energy of your opponent at his disadvantage. Is to take your opponent energy and turn to block, but not confront, but accompany the energy of your opponent to make your own moves.
Oh, that's lovely. And have we heard from Lady Drew yet?
No, but I'm here waiting. I'm glad you let Ollie come up because I like watching his shows when I get to see them. Hello, everyone. You're all in my prayers to the heavenly spirits. I am, for those who don't know me and quickly will, I am Wonder Woman with a Siamese cat personality. I studied martial arts throughout my life. I was a professional jazz singer for 47 years, a comedian for 37. Been doing project management consulting for over 22. Everything that y'all have been saying is absolutely true. You've got to stand up, be tall, shoulders back, head up, confront everything, because the moment that you drop your guard is when someone's going to see that, they're going to take advantage of it. It doesn't mean if it's physically, it can be mentally. Yoga, martial arts, and meditation are great. They teach you how to open your mind, be aware of your surroundings. They teach you balance. They teach you all kinds of things. What I don't like that I see in America, because I'm not from America, but I've been here for quite a while, most of these karate centers, they are mostly teaching people to fight. That fighting is so important. That's not the art of it. I learned it in Japan, China, and I learned some from Buddha monks up in Brazil. Martial arts is to protect yourself from those who want to bring you harm. It's not to go out and beat somebody up. But you learn so much more than just defending yourself with it. I enjoyed singing, acting, dancing, modeling in my career time. And the one thing you got to do is always stay positive-minded, respectful, loving, caring, all that. And then people are going to see it and know you. You've got to be the real you and constantly keep on improving yourself, and others will see that too. Don't be worried about fitting in, because you fit in with yourself. The Creator made you the way that you are to be. Now just be the best you, and you'll attract others. I've had many people, including gentlemen when I was single, which I am now, come up to me and say, I was so afraid to approach you because I can see your professionalism. I can see your power. I can feel your aura. I'm like, really? Well, you didn't see too well, because, baby, I'm loving, down to earth, and I care about every single life on this planet. So just always be you, always be in a positive mindset. Know that life is worth enjoying. It's the things in life that can be challenging, but don't handle it when you're tired or when you're angry, because then you're going to mess up. But thank you for your show. Thank you for everyone's participating, and blessed be.
Thank you, Lady Drew. And Hiromi, do you have anything to reflect on that?
Yes, Lady Drew, everything you said aligns with what I was taught as well. And I love that you brought up music because my father also mentions how music and martial arts are so related as well. The flow of a kata, the back and forth, it's almost like the rhythm. You have to find the rhythm of each move to execute it well, just like the note. And oh, there's this whole philosophy of music and martial arts as well. And traditionally, my father likes to say we're modern day samurais. Traditionally, samurais, they have to not only learn the art of how to fight, they have to learn um tea ceremony, they have to learn bonsai, like how to do gardening, and they also learn how to play music, and they also do calligraphy. So it's a whole art behind martial arts. So I just love that you mentioned that.
And I love every single one of them. I've learned them throughout the years. I am very down to earth. I protect every life in it, the world, the universe. We are all one. So let's all remember we are connected and have love and respect for each other.
It sounds like the that art form is like the Renaissance man in Japan. So what a wonderful experience. The next person up is Kim Lee. So Kim Lee Healer, if you would unmute and ask your question or share your story.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, Steve, Hiromi, Lady Drew, and Angelica, and all of you are here, Dr. Mohiba. Just want to say thank you. Monday, Mindset Monday, I just love everybody's share in terms of the holistic aspect of wellness that you have, well, every imaginable techniques and you know, each one of us have our own strengths in terms of mindset and energy, present posture. I mean, you all shared it just to really top it up would be a challenge. I just want to share a story in terms of energy, present, and mindset. This is kind of somewhat mystical, magical for my experience, but I see it every time when I encounter challenge. How can I keep myself powerful in the danger that I am approached? In terms of one evening, because I love to walk, you know, whenever full moon, I live here in San Francisco, Ocean Beach. And whenever the full moon, I love to walk like late at night. Could be 11 p.m. at nighttime. I can walk to probably 12 or 12:30, 1 a.m. I just love to be in the moonlight and walking because I feel like I own the street, that not many people out there and hardly any car. One day as I was walking home, it's around midnight, and there's somebody that was he's probably on drug, homeless or out of balance, and he was yelling in rage, really yelling, screaming, disturb the neighbor. You know, I kind of exaggerate, disturb the peaceful within nature. So I encountered this fire energy, this disharmony energy. I was walking facing him. We was facing from an opposite distance. And I was asking myself, say a prayer, asking my spirit guide, should I continue here? Should I go around? And I heard the inner whisper within me, Kim, breathe, stay calm, continue to walk. So by me setting my mindset, my energy present in stillness and trusting that intuition of mine, and I continue to walk, but inside of me, I channel, I am safe, I'm safe, I'm safe. Within just a split second, that individual, I don't know what he saw from me because we only probably 150 feet or 200 feet away from each other. We're facing each other. I hold my stillness. I don't know what he saw in me. He was terrified. He ran away from me from a distance away. And in silence, I thank you for that phenomenal experience, to trust my own instinct and continue to walk peacefully home. So in terms of mindset, present energy, and intuition, and all aspect of our multi-dimensional being, when we truly align with that force, it will serve us no matter what. So this is just the energy in terms of trusting our intuition and continue to walk in the light no matter what. So this served me well as the master heart healer for 31 years. I just want to share that story with all of you. Thank you very much, Steve.
What it made me think of is what a wonderful story. And sometimes, when you're highly empathic, you get a feeling or a sense, and sometimes that feeling or sense doesn't have a specific person that it's coming from, right? It's almost like a wave that's moving through. And what I wondered about is I wonder if that unpleasant, uneasy feeling may have been present in that space, and that both of you felt it. And the one that ran away was like he was sensing it and thinking it was you. And he took the other outfit and ran away, right? It's like we don't know, right? We don't know.
He couldn't think of us, must be a ghost.
Right. It could have
because
been.
it was so late at night, and it just like that just moving toward him, not back away from him. So it was very beautiful experience in that way, and I'm still cherishing it. Yeah. Thank you, Steve.
and casting a long shadow in the moonlight. You were probably quite scary. Well, what a beautiful story, and thank you for sharing that. Angelica, do you have anything to reflect on that, Hiromi?
Oh, it was such a beautiful story, Kim. And just quickly, I love that Stephen said that because you're empathic, you can feel people's energies and feel what's around you, which is the essence of awareness. And another thing I just wanted to mention too, because you're from San Francisco, because I'm in a lot of AAPI rooms and talking about what's been going on, I just, you kept yourself safe. And I heard it's really dangerous for a lot of Asian women in the Bay Area, San Francisco. So I'm just hopeful you keep safe and keeping that energy and strong energy and light. So just sending my heart to you. Pardon the pun, but sending my heart to you.
Well, thank you, Hiromi. I just want to clarify, the energy projecting from San Francisco is not completely 100% truth. Because it's downtown, most of the big city is a lot of homeless issues that we have. And also all the commercial unit, people work from home now, a lot of vacant space. So for me, wherever I go, my parents happen to live in the Tenderloin, the very dangerous part of town somewhat. And it doesn't matter where I go, I bring that present with me. I'm always safe. So let's not project how scary San Francisco is. Let's send it love and safety. Because for me, I don't like the news. There's a lot of fake news out there. So in my neighborhood, it's very safe. Even downtown, wherever I go, it's still safe. Because the safety is within me. Nobody can take control of that away from me. So I just want to reframe that a little bit. Thank you very much, Hiromi. I appreciate you and your concern. Thank you, my dear sister.
Thank you both, and thank you, Hiromi, for raising the awareness, and thank you, Kim Lee, for lifting that energy of love, right? The energy of love and positivity and respect. I really appreciate that. Angelica, your turn, my friend.
Well, thanks a lot for bringing me up, Stephen. This is definitely a Mindful Monday room. I feel the vibes, the peaceful vibes in here, and it's a safe place, and I enjoy being here. And of course, I've known Hiromi since way back in the Clubhouse days, so it's good. When I saw her on LinkedIn, I got really happy. So, and I'm sorry I missed her when she was in Carpinteria. I was busy at another project. Otherwise, I would have definitely linked up. But maybe, Hiromi, maybe you can link up again because you have the skills to do a superhero movie. And I think it would be fun. Wouldn't you think it would be fun to do something like that? And of course, my superhero would be a peaceful, a peaceful one. But what everybody was mentioning reminded me of when I used to work as a secretary in New York, and I was going down Sugar Hill, which is in Harlem on 145th Street, and these two guys were coming up, and they approached me and said, I need some cash. I want some money. I need some cash. Now, I never thought of doing anything violent, or I just all of a sudden started laughing hysterically. And it looks like it disarmed them. They said, "Lady, you crazy lady." And we just kept going. They went their way and I went mine. But I think there's so many ways to disarm things without without violence. And like what you guys mentioned, it's only if it's something that's truly needed. But I was thinking of that situation and how we can use our minds to think of ways to get out of certain things. So just wanted to share that story. So and I wanted to ask Hiromi if she's down. Over to you guys. Thanks for letting me speak. Maybe we could get Stephen in there as a pirate as well.
That would be fun. I always love it when friends are made on social media, and it's lovely because both of you have that same energy of kindness and laughter, and it's just a lightness that makes the room better. So thank you both. Hiromi, any reflections to your friend?
Oh, I love Angelica. I like what she said about she used her power to deflect a situation, and she didn't have to be physical or get hurt herself. She used her energy and her love, and I love how they thought they said, "Lady, you're crazy," and so that's a beautiful story, Angelica, and I can just picture it too. And as for a superhero movie, even though I'm a martial artist, it's funny. I've never really. I've done some martial arts in some of the projects that I was hired for, but again, I think a lot of casting directors and directors see me more. Just maybe it's my size. Maybe I have this too like happy energy. Maybe because they have usually martial artists in martial arts movies, especially women. They have more of a. I don't want to say they're more just like they have a different look than I do. That's all I have to say. I think maybe I have too much of a persona that's not their stereotype of what a martial artist is, which I am fine with that. And I do like the more comedy stuff or the more I don't know. I think, but hopefully maybe one day I can do a martial arts movie. But I don't know if that's in the way they're casted. That's all. I don't know how to explain it. But I would love to one day.
I was thinking not along the lines of seriousness. I was thinking of comedy. And I was thinking of family film because I'm rated G.
Ooh, I love that. Yeah.
I think it would be a fun project for kids,
It's funny because my superhero. Someone asked me what my superhero was, and I said Superman because he's strong, and he was the first superhero that I learned of when I was little. And just recently, I saw one of the Batman movies, and I think it was The Flash or somebody says, "What's your superpower?" And Bruce Wayne goes, Batman goes, "I'm rich." And ever since then, I want to be Batman. Oh, that's fun. Dr. Muhiba, it's your turn, my friend.
Thank you so much. I always say when I attend the session, I feel like going to a party. What have I brought with me? I need to give something, as much or little something for what I have been given. Thank you so much, Stephen. Wonderful session. Thank you so much, Hiromi, and everyone, every participant who has said something or has shared something by being here. And Hiromi, you have allowed me to think of myself as a martial arts expert. Why not? Because you have widened the definition. You've made it so wide that you have allowed me in. And I'm sure allowed so many of us in by mentioning the connection with nature, the connection with music, with dancing, with acting, with enjoying life. You've made it sound not at all offensive, but defensive, and defensive in a very humoristic way. And I entirely agree with Angelica when she says, absolutely, Hiromi, go for a film. I would love to go. I would love to attend it because it has to be comedy because, as you say it several times, I am small. You've reminded me of when I was I was a student, by the way, but I was so small. I weighed 40 kilos, 42 kilos. And so people thought I was practically a kindergarten, not a student. So there was, they made a play and they said, they killed somebody or something. And they said, okay, now, come on, Superwoman, come and carry him out. And Superwoman, everybody expected that they would have picked the biggest, tallest student. And here I come wearing shorts and sort of making the gesture of a superwoman. Everyone went, wow, what is this? That was really comedy. And I was supposed to carry that one out. Obviously, he was carrying himself, not me carrying him. That is the comedy in it. And if I may add one thing, you made me think of myself as, martial arts. What is your martial art? Each one of us has a martial art knowledge or know-how. And I've always thought of myself as having my discourse. My speech is my martial art. And when one friend one day refused to answer my calls, refused to answer my messages, I said, oh, no, this is my human right. I have the right to answer, to explain. And if you take away my explanation, you have cut my tongue. You have taken away my human right. And today you have reminded me of, it's like taking away my martial art. Each one of us has his or her martial art and needs to defend. We defend ourselves with our martial art. And to finish, you also remind me of once I was surrounded by something like maybe 6, 7 dogs. And all I could remember was that when I was a little girl, I was told, never run away from dogs. They would eat you up. So I turned around and I shouted so that the owner would hear me, but I shouted at them. I shouted with all my force, and there were big ones, smaller ones, and they all kept away from me until the owner arrived. And he said, no problem. I said, no problem. I could have been eaten up. But I used that knowledge, that little girl's knowledge, to face and show what must have seemed my strength, because they all kept away, still barking at me. But I managed to keep them away for the little time that I needed for the guy to come along. Thank you so much for this wonderful session. I truly enjoyed it, and I felt so much learning I got from you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Hiromi, do you have any reflection?
Oh, I loved your share, Dr. Mohiba, and so lovely to connect with you. And I love what you said about using your voice. And we do that a lot in martial arts too. Even with my younger students, I said, when you use your voice, because your voice is so powerful. So thank you for sharing that.
I love that. And our last speaker today is Ken Caputo. And Ken is, you'll definitely have to be connected now. But Ken, go ahead.
Hi, Hiromi. I just wanted to thank you. My teacher would always say you recognize true martial artists from the suppleness of their mind and the readiness of their smile. And you can hear it in your voice. So it's just wonderful that there are people like you out there, just, like we always say, you're making a contribution that creates a ripple effect. And especially through the years working with children, it's just having models that demonstrate them of a way to move both powerfully and joyfully through the world is a very, very significant contribution. So thank you for all that you do.
Thank you, Ken. And Hiromi, I would extend for, on Ken's behalf, he has a Ripple Maker blog where he spotlights people that are doing substantial things, or things that are at least making an impact in some area, whether that be their community or in mindset. And I nominate you as someone that he should speak to, because I just love what you're doing, and I think that discussion with Ken would be rewarding for both of you. So thank you for that. Do you have any reflections
That
before
would be
we
a
wrap up?
fun interview, definitely.
I know, and again, empathically, I go by matching like people's energies, and the two of you have just a phenomenal energy that would be synchronous, I believe. So, do you have any reflection, Hiromi?
Oh, first, it's an honor to meet you, Ken, and I'm so excited to connect further with you. And I always love meeting other martial artists. And I wrote your quote down, the suppleness of the mind and readiness of the smile. And it reminded me of my favorite boxers. And my favorite boxers have the greatest smiles. They can like knock someone out. But I love boxing as a sport, and it is a martial arts too. But and then there's another layer where martial artists do have to make money and income, and so I agree with those means. But yeah, some of my favorite martial artists and favorite boxers, they have a beautiful smile, and they know when to offense and when to defense. Yes, and deflect too.
I love that.
I totally agree. And the money part is funny because money follows value. So if it just seems to be attracted when, you're putting good into the world. It's maybe a little harder sometimes, than some of the other quicker ways, but I think it's deeper, and it's the undercurrents of that river flow generationally, which is a very powerful thing.
I love that. And we are at the top of the hour, so thank you all for being here. And one of the things that came to mind is when you smile, right? Give a giving smile, a smile that is backed with gratitude, because that energy, right, is something that will generate a smile within someone else. If we smile for any other purpose, sometimes it's a draw. Sometimes we're taking from another, expecting something in return. But if you smile with gratitude, I do believe that is the seed of happiness, and that will plant more happiness in the world. So thank you all for being here. I'm so honored to have you as a guest, Hiromi. You've made this a wonderful Monday, and you've made my day better, and I'm sure you've made the day for all the rest of the listeners better. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much too. Thank you, everybody.